Welcome to Eelin's epic morning show, the Halloween special. Yay! You know, I've set up a little bit for Halloween. You can see I'm already prepared. I know it's not Halloween just yet, but I thought by making this special on time, I will also give you some ideas on how to make your Halloween costumes happen. I thought I would give you some top 5 female Halloween characters that you could dress up as this year. So for these top 5 female Halloween characters, I've actually taken inspiration from local supernatural beings from the Finnish-Swedish folklore, and a little bit from the local stories from where I've grown up in the Finnish archipelago. Here is the countdown of 5 famous folklore figures for Halloween.
Number 5.
Witches were either healers or wise people, and in some cases they were even men. In fact, in Iceland there were only men who were trialed for witchcraft and sorcery, and there's a theory that says that that had to do with the fact that they wanted the land of these men who were on trial, so they were trying to catch them doing witchcraft, and then they would be able to, off them and get their land. So that was sort of a easy way to go. Why is Iceland important in this context? Well, Iceland was part of, Scandinavian tradition, and in Scandinavian folklore tradition, quite similar sort of praxis and beliefs are still prevalent. So they were still part of the same realm.
Number 4.
The troll. The troll is a particularly interesting character, as in modern day trolls tend to be ugly men dressed in really broken clothes and living in the forest or in the rock somewhere. And the only thing that they got to be from that was the living in the rocks or in the forest. Trolls were females, were very beautiful females, who would then seduce the men into the forest with them, or into the rock, or depending a little bit where the troll lived, so would take them away from their family, and maybe they would return them, but they had gone a little bit crazy. So this was a way to explain mental health that wasn't really healthy or wasn't really working. The other thing that trolls would do, they steal children and instead put their own troll children in the cradles. This way you could also explain how the kids were growing up with different learning difficulties or other difficulties. So another way to explain a bit mental health.
Number 3.
The Sea Maiden. Well, the Sea Maiden, she was actually quite a particular kind of troll. She lived on the island of Bengtskär. That's what Bengtskär looks like nowadays. But she wasn't living there in this really nice lighthouse, but she was living there before there was a lighthouse, so when the island looked more or less like this. Back in those days, they would anyway have a fire or another type of lighthouse to guide the vessels that were coming towards these rocky waters, and that kind of fires or temporary lighthouses were called puki in Finnish. So puki. I don't think that's a real word in English, but anyway, that's why she got the name Puki Neito or Puki Maiden in Finnish. I figured it was better to translate it into English as Sea Maiden, because Puki Maiden sounded a little bit, Anyway, this lady was known to appear on this island, which was in the middle of very, very popular fishing waters to warn the fishermen to return home when bad weather was arising. So when their fog was arriving or when there was a storm coming. So she would run around the shore of the island and hit the rocks with her stick so it would sound like a bell, and she would scream, pull them up, meaning that they should pull up their nets before the storm or the fog would make them disappear or hit the rocks. So the fishermen, when they heard this, they would be really fast, pull out the nets, and then return back home before the storm. And she was nice in that way. She was saving them. So maybe this is your hero for this Halloween. Let's see.
Number 2.
The Black Lady of Dasbruk was a actual person. So what happened is that they say she still haunts Dasbruk. So Dasbruk is a old industrial site. There's been iron works and industry in that town since 1600 something, and during this era there was a lot of workers, but there were also a lot of aristocrats and nice, fine people from. In this time, there was a lady called Charlotte of Hestesko, I think it was, and she married the rich factory owner, the owner of the big factory in Dasbruk. And they were really happy. They had actually a very active social life when they were newlyweds. And what proceeded to happen, I'm not entirely sure. I think she lost some of her children, died very young. Her parents died when they were quite young. She was feeling quite bad, and was a really happy marriage also ended kind of abruptly. So her husband died mid 1800s. She died 1850, so he died like about 10 years before that, and that was sort of already before that she was already dressing in black and mourning the death of the family members. But that was sort of the last straw. After that she threw herself from the public life, and being quite a prominent figure in the local society. This is still quite a small factory city, not a lot of celebrities and stuff. Did I even call it a city? It's really a small town, and she was a permanent figure there in the social life. When she withdrew, people started seeing her, in her fancy house, dressing always in black. Quite a tragic story. And in this way she became sort of a legend of the locals. So even while she was alive, she wasn't seen so much. So when she died, they continued seeing her as much as before. Basically, she still haunts the main building where she was living in the factory. And yeah, here's also a picture of what she looked like.
Number 1.
The mayor is not the mayor of a city, and definitely not the mayor as in a horse. The fact is, the mayor is someone who would give you nightmares. If you Google it, you'll find a lot of horrible pictures. So she was a monster, she was a horrible supernatural being that would ride you in your sleep and give you nightmares. She would sit on your chest and suck at your soul while you were sleeping, giving you nightmares. I mean, if that's not Halloween worthy, I don't know what is. I don't know if I scared you too much with this video, if I made you too horrified. Don't worry, most of these horrible beings were kept away by using supernatural protection such as iron. So putting iron over your door would protect you from these kind of monsters. And also, I don't know, just it's one night a year, you can still embrace it a little bit, the dark side. Okay, so thank you thank you for watching. Subscribe. I think you can't really see my subscribe sign so well today. Next time I promise it will be a bit more of a light show again, but we have to keep it in the mood, right? I mean, it's Halloween. So, have a good night, have a good day, and see you again soon. Bye.